शिष्य गुरु गौरांग गंधार विकगिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोरक्षर स्वामीजी महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु शुद्ध सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जय श्री मुरारी गुप्ता की जय। जय श्री वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री चैतन्य भागवत की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All right, so I am going to share my screen and we will do the Mangala Charan. Oops. One second, let me just... Raseshwari Mataji is not able to join tonight because the electricity went out. Haribol Raseshwari Mataji. Oh my God, it went out there in America. That's so interesting. All right, well, I hope you get your electricity back soon. And thanks for letting me know. Haribol. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to respond to that quickly. All right, so let's begin. Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Guruve gaurachandraya radhikaya itadalaye krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tad bhaktaya namo namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ajanulambita bhujao kanakavadato sankirtanay kapitaro kamalaya vishvambaro dijavaro yugadharma palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro. Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya Te Namaha. Jai 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 Vishwambara Dvijaraj Jai Vishwambara Priya Vaishnava Samaj Gaura Chandra Jai Dharma Setu Mahadhir Jaya Sankirtana Moy Sundar Sharir Jaya Nityanandir Bandhava Dhana Pran Jaya Gadadhar Advaitera Prema Dham Jai Shri Jagarananda Priya Atishay Jai Vakreshwar Kashishwarer Hriday. Jai Shivasadi Priya, sorry, Jai Jai Shivasadi Priya Varganath. Jiva Prati Kora Prabhu Shubha Drishtipat. Madhya-khaṇḍa Katha Jeno Amriter Khanda. Je Katha Shunile Ghuche Antar Pashanda. Madhya-khaṇḍa Katha Bhai Shuno Eka Chitte. Sankirtana Aramba Hoilo Jeno Mate. Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina. Iti vigyaya devi tvam nayamang charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay. Kshiptashtakama ditaranga madhye. Kripa mai tvam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-charitamrita. Ore mora lok shuno Chaitanya Mangal. Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Beshakal. Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas. Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavana Das. Vrindavana Dasa Koilo Chaitanya Mangal. Jahar Shravane Nashe Sarvaya Mangal. Chaitanya Nitar Jate Janiye Mahima. Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima. Bhagavate Joto Bhakti Siddhanter Sar. Likhiachen Iha Jani Koriya Udhar. Chaitanya Mangala Shune Jadi Pashande Javan. Sheho Maha Vaishnava Hoy Totokhon. Manushe Rachite Nare Aiche Granta Dhanya. Vrindavana Dasa Mukhe Vakta Shri Chaitanya. Vrindavana Dasa Pode Koti Namaskar. Aiche Granta Korite Ho Tarila Sangsar. Narayani Chaitanya Uchishta Bhajan. Tar Garbe Janmila Shri Dasa Vrindavan. तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरिता वर्णन जहाँ श्रवण शुद्ध कोयल त्रिभुवन सहजे विचित्र मधुर चैतन्य विहार वृंदावन दास मुखे अमृते धार. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Swaparshad Shri Gaur Hari ki jai. Madhya-khaṇḍa ki jai. Chapter 20 of Madhya-khaṇḍa, the glories of Murāri Gupta ki jai. Jai Murāri Gupta ki jai. Hari Bol Ganga Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Interesting. Today it's just Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Ganga Mataji. Usually there's a bunch of people by now. That's okay. So we're going to read. First, we'll read this. Actually, we only have like 3,000 something words left in this chapter, so we have plenty of time. Maybe we can. This might be a good opportunity to go do a little recap of the previous chapters so that we get the flow. Let me just open this up. Scrivener. This is where I plan out the readings. Okay, so let's see. The first chapter. Actually, let me go to the beginning. The first chapter was of Madhya-khaṇḍa is the beginning of the Lord's manifestation and his instructions on Krishna Sankirtan. And then the second chapter is the Lord's manifestation at the house of Srivas and the inauguration of Sankirtan. The third chapter is the Lord manifests his Varaha form in the house of Murāri and meets with Nityananda. That was the very beginning of the Lord's manifesting himself, right? All the devotees are the Lord's, like Murāri Gupta and all Mahaprabhu's associates. They grew up with Mahaprabhu. They've seen him from his childhood. Many of them, like Murāri Gupta, were, classmates. Not sure if Murāri Gupta was in the exact same class. I think he was a little bit older. I think. Can't remember actually. But but now here in this, for the first time, they realize, oh my God, he's actually Bhagavan himself. So there's a lot in Caitanya-bhāgavata about Murāri Gupta. He's like a main character. Then revelation of Nityananda's glories. Then Nityananda's Vyas Puja ceremony and his darshan of the Lord's six-armed form. The Lord's meeting with Advaita Acharya, as chapter 6. Then the meeting of Gadadhar and Pundarik, the manifestation of opulences. This was what was this chapter again? This chapter 8, describes Śrī Nityananda's stay at the house of Srivas, Malini's service to Nityananda and the mood of Vatsalya, Mahaprabhu's test of Srivas's love for Nityananda, Srivas's firm faith in Nityananda, Mahaprabhu's benediction on Srivas, Nityananda's performance of various childhood pastimes, Mother Shachi's dream. I love that. That was so much fun, Mother Shachi's dream. Mahaprabhu's invitation to Nityananda, Nityananda's lunch at the house of the Lord. Okay, so that was all chapter 8. Then chapter 9, the Lord's 21-hour ecstasy and description of Sridhar and other devotees' characteristics. And I think this is my favorite section of Caitanya-bhāgavata, this one so far. Descriptions of Sridhar. But yeah, the Lord's 21-hour ecstasy, Sat Prahariya Bhav. Then conclusion of the Lord's Mahaprakash pastimes. Then the characteristics of Nityananda, the glories of Nityananda, the deliverance of Jagai and Madhai, Yamaraja's Sankirtan, descriptions of Madhavananda's realization, the Lord's acceptance of rice at the house of Shuklambar. Oh, sorry, not house. Shuklambar is a brahmachari. But this is chapter 16. So this chapter describes Mahaprabhu and his associates' night kirtans at the house of Srivas, Srivas's mother-in-law's hiding in the kirtan hall, Advaita's mood as a servant of Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu's glorification of Śrī Advaita on the pretext of anger, the Vaishnav's astonishment on seeing Mahaprabhu's great mercy on Advaita, Mahaprabhu and his associates chanting and dancing in ecstatic love of Krishna, and topics regarding Shri Shuklambar Brahmachari. Then chapter 17 is the Lord's wandering throughout Navadvip and descriptions of the devotees' glories. Oh yeah, this chapter also had a lot about Advaita Acharya in it, similar to the previous chapter. Then chapter 18 was Mahaprabhu's dancing as a gopi. Chapter 19, the Lord's pastimes in Advaita's house. And now so the previous chapter we read describes Sriman Mahaprabhu's visit to devotees' houses with Nityananda, Advaita's distress resulting from being offered respect by Gaurasundar, Advaita's tricks to remove that distress, Gaurasundar's wandering in the city and his visit with Nityananda to the house of a Vamachari sannyasi, the sannyasi who had a wife, and asked Mahaprabhu and Nityananda if they wanted ananda, they wanted bliss, which Nityananda understood to mean wine. So their acceptance of fruits at the house of the sannyasi, before he mentioned to them about ananda. Then Gaura and Nityananda's arrival at the house of Advaita Acharya, Advaita's explanation of Gyan Yoga, the Lord's beating Advaita, and revelation of his glories after hearing his explanations, Advaita's happiness and declaration, examples of the inauspicious results of worshipping demigods, the Lord's warning to everyone about blasphemy of the Vaishnavas, the Lord's acceptance of food at Advaita's house, and Advaita's glorification of Nityananda on the pretext of expressing anger. So that was what we read in the previous chapter, and now we come to the glories of Murāri Gupta. That's where we are now. We're going to be finishing this chapter. We don't have that much left in this chapter. That's why I decided to take a little time to go through, just to see the flow of the Madhya-khaṇḍa. Okay, so now I'm going to read the summary by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and then we'll continue on from where we left off. Hari Bol Sudevi Didi. This chapter 20 describes Mahaprabhu's revelation of Nityananda's position in Murāri Gupta's dream, Mahaprabhu's refutation of the philosophy of impersonalism, Murari's offering of foodstuffs in his house to Mahaprabhu. But he just threw it on the floor and said, eat, eat. Then Mahaprabhu's resultant indigestion and cure by drinking Murari's water. Mahaprabhu's acceptance of a four-armed form in the house of Srivas, Murari's acceptance of the mood of Garuda, and Mahaprabhu's climbing on Murari's shoulders. Murari's resolution to give up his body and the Lord's prevention. This is what we're going to be reading about today. Murari's resolution to give up his body and the Lord's prevention. And topics such as the author's comparison of blasphemous sannyāsīs to plunderers. Hari Bol Shubhananda Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Okay. One day, when Mahaprabhu was at the house of Srivas, Murari came and offered obeisances first at the feet of Mahaprabhu and then at the feet of Nityananda. At that time, Mahaprabhu told Murari that he had transgressed etiquette. When Murari expressed his ignorance in this regard, Mahaprabhu told him that he would understand everything the next day. Thereafter, Murari returned home, and in a dream that night, he saw Nityananda as Haladar himself, and Vishwambar was standing there fanning him from behind. After realizing the position of the two in his dream, Murari went before the Lord the next day and offered obeisances first to Nityananda and then to Shri Gaurasundar. When Mahaprabhu asked him the reason for this, Murari replied that Mahaprabhu, as the controller of all living entities, had himself conferred this mood in his heart. Mahaprabhu then informed Murari that since he was dear to him, he had revealed his own glories to him. Thereafter, Mahaprabhu gave Murari his chewed betel nut remnants, and Murari ate them with great respect. When Mahaprabhu then asked Murari to wash his hands, Murari wiped his hands on his head. After Mahaprabhu told Murari about the dangers of falling from his caste according to Smarta conceptions, the Lord began to criticize Prakashananda, the impersonalist from Kashi. A Mayavadi attributes a distinction between the body and the self of the Lord. And since he considers himself as non-different from the supreme worshipable Lord, his path to self-destruction becomes wide open. Thereafter, Mahaprabhu praised Murari and ordered him to return home. When Murari arrived home, he expressed to his wife a desire to eat. Murari's wife then brought foodstuffs to him, and Murari took handfuls of rice from the plate and threw them to the ground as an offering to Krishna. He said, "Eat, eat, cow, cow." The next morning, Gaurasundar came to Murari and told him that he had indigestion from eating Murari's rice. Gaurasundar also informs Murari that he would be cured from that indigestion if he drank water from Murari's water pot. On hearing this, Murari felt unconscious and his relatives began to cry in ecstasy. One day in the house of Srivas, Mahaprabhu roared loudly and assumed a four-armed form. As the Lord called out, "Garuda, Garuda!" Murari came before him in the mood of Garuda and introduced himself as Garuda. He explains that he had served the Lord as Garuda in his Dwapar Yuga pastimes and requested the Lord to climb on his shoulders. Mahaprabhu then climbed on Murari's shoulders and Murari carried him throughout the courtyard. On seeing this, all the devotees chanted "Jai, Jai" and glorified Murari's good fortune. On another day, Murāri Gupta hid in his house a sharp chopper, with which he intended to give up his body before the completion of Gaurasundar's manifest pastimes. As a supersoul, Mahaprabhu understood this. So he went to Murari's house and prohibited him from doing so. Thereafter, the author concludes this chapter by praising the servants of Lord Chaitanya and describing the miserable consequence of the blasphemous sannyāsīs' offense of blaspheming the devotees. Okay, so we read up to verse 103 yesterday. But let's see, since we don't have that much time, we don't have that much left to read. Yesterday we read I think it was over 6,000 words, and today we only have 3,000 something words. So that's why I've been taking a long time to start. Let's see if we can. Let's read from this point on. What verse is this? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the Lord said to Murari, "O Murāri Gupta, go home for now. You have purchased me because you have understood the glories of Nityananda." Okay, so that's when he offered his pranams to Nityananda first, and then to Mahaprabhu. Now, in this way, Murari became such a recipient of the Lord's mercy. Only Hanuman received mercy like Murari. Murāri Gupta returned home in ecstasy, yet the Lord, along with Nityananda, remained within his heart. When Murari returned home, his heart was overwhelmed. He would chuckle to himself as he said one thing and did something else. In jubilation, he said, "I will eat now." Then his chaste wife brought lunch for him. Being overwhelmed with love for Lord Chaitanya, Murāri Gupta threw handfuls of rice to the floor while calling out, "Cow, cow, eat, eat." As he threw rice mixed with ghee to the floor, he repeatedly exclaimed, "Eat, Krishna, eat." On seeing Murari's behavior, his chaste wife laughed. She repeatedly brought more rice and placed it on his plate. Murari's chaste wife knew that he was a Mahabhagavat, so she cautioned him by chanting the name of Krishna. Whatever Murari offered, the Lord ate. The Lord never disregarded Murari's request. Whatever rice Murari offered, the Lord ate. Early the next morning, the Lord went to Murāri Gupta's house to meet him. Mahaprabhu arrived as Murāri Gupta was sitting there enjoying the ecstasy of Krishna's names. Upon seeing the Lord, Murari offered his obeisances. Murari then respectfully offered the Lord a place to sit, and the son of Jagannath Mishra sat down. Murāri Gupta asked, "O Lord, what brings you here?" The Lord replied, "I came for treatment." Murāri Gupta then said, "What is the cause of your indigestion? What foods did you eat yesterday?" Because Murāri Gupta is a Vaidya, he's a physician. So then the Lord said, "My dear friend, how will you know? You threw rice on the floor and said, 'Eat, eat.' You forgot, but your wife knows everything. You offered it to me, so how could I refuse to eat? What is the use of your treatments and remedies? I got indigestion by eating your rice. Drinking water relieves indigestion. My indigestion was caused by eating your rice, so the cure is drinking your water." After speaking in this way, the Lord fully absorbed in the mellows of devotional service and bhakti ras, he picked up Murari's water pot and drank from it. Seeing the Lord's display of mercy, Murari fell unconscious. Murāri Gupta's entire family then cried in ecstatic love of God. How glorious is the Lord! How glorious is his devotional service! And how glorious are his servants! Oh wait, Murāri Gupta, he's not a Vaidya, right? It's Mukunda that's a Vaidya, right? I think I was getting mixed up. Anyway, sorry about that. Or was it Murāri Gupta also? I can't remember. Anyways, such devotional service... Sorry.
Murāri Gupta, I think he's Vaidya only.
Okay, Murāri Gupta is Vaidya, yeah?
I am Vaidya, I remembered it.
Okay, yes. All right, Shivananda Prabhu. Yes, that stood out to Shivananda Prabhu because he's also Ayurvedic doctor. Okay. So such devotional service was manifested by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. How glorious is the Lord, how glorious is his devotional service, and how glorious are his servants. Such devotional service is manifested by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. The mercy received by Murāri Gupta's servants could not even be seen by the Bhattacharyas of Navadvip. Nothing is achieved through education, wealth, and fame. The fruits of devotional service are achieved by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Whoever the servants and maidservants of the Vaishnavas may be, the Vedas declare, they are the best of all. Whoever is the Vaishnav's dasi and das, the Vedas say sarvottamashe, they are the best of all, those servants and maidservants. In this way, Mahaprabhu personally bestowed mercy on Murari every day. Just hear the wonderful topics concerning Murāri Gupta, for by hearing these topics, one achieves the treasure of devotional service. One day in the house of Srivas, Mahaprabhu roared loudly and assumed his four-armed form. With his four hands decorated with the conch-shell, disc, club, and lotus, Vishwambar called out, "Garuda, Garuda!" At that time, Murāri Gupta entered Srivas's house fully absorbed in bliss and roaring loudly. Fully absorbed in the mood of Vinata's son, Murāri Gupta said, "I am that great devotee Garuda." As Vishwambar called for Garuda, Murāri Gupta replied, "Here I am, O Lord, your servant." The Lord said, "My dear friend, you are my carrier." Murāri Gupta replied, "Yes, yes." Murāri Gupta continued, "Perhaps you forgot that I carried you and the Parijata tree from heaven. Perhaps you forgot that I carried you to Banapur, where I tore Kartikeya's peacock to pieces. O Lord, climb on my back and tell me to which universe I should take you." The son of Jagannath Mishra then climbed on the back of Murari, and the entire house of Srivas was filled with the vibration of Jai, Jai. Taking the Lord of Lakshmi on his back, Murāri Gupta ran around the courtyard. The chaste wives made auspicious sounds, and all the devotees cried in great ecstatic love. Someone chanted Jai, Jai, and someone chanted Hari. Someone else exclaimed, "May I never forget this form of the Lord." Someone slapped his arms and thighs in jubilation, and someone smiled as he declared, "How glorious is the Lord." Someone raised his arms and loudly exclaimed, "All glories to Vishwambar, who is carried by Murari." Śrī Gaurasundar swayed in ecstasy on the back of Murari, who happily wandered throughout the house. These pastimes of Gaurachandra took place in Navadvip, but sinful people were unable to see them. One cannot attain Krishna by wealth, high birth, or fame, for Lord Chaitanya is controlled only by devotional service. The servants of those who worship the Lord birth after birth were now able to joyfully see these pastimes. Those who saw such pastimes mercifully described them to others, yet the hearts of sinful people do not accept them. In this Madhya-khaṇḍa, the Lord climbs on the back of Murari, yet Murari is a leading servant in all the Lord's incarnations. So in all the Lord's incarnations, he's not just serving as Hanuman in Ramlila, but in every other form of the Lord, Hanuman, Murāri Gupta is serving there as a leading servant. Very interesting. Although the Vedas describe the Lord's appearance and disappearance, there is actually no end to his pastimes. On regaining his external consciousness, the most sober Gauranga got down from Murari's back, and Murari's mood as Garuda disappeared. Ordinary people cannot understand these most confidential topics of Mahaprabhu's climbing on the back of Murari. Hari Bol, Hari Priya Didi, and Rukmini Didi. Dandavat pranams. On seeing the Lord's mercy on Murari, all the Vaishnavas praised him as being most glorious. Murāri Gupta was a most glorious devotee. His devotional service to the Lord was fruitful, for he had the ability to carry Vishvambar in his pastimes. Okay, so that's where we read up to yesterday, and now we will continue on from verse 104. And I think we don't have so much left in the chapter, so I think we might even finish early. Let's see. E mata Murāri Gupter punya katha ar koto ache je koila jatha jatha. Such are the auspicious topics regarding Murāri Gupta. There are many more topics yet to be described. Ekadin Murāri parama shuddha mati nija mane mane gane avatar sthiti. Sangopange achaye javat avatar, tavat chintiye ami nija pratikar. Na bhuji Krishner lila kokhon ki kore, tokhoni srijiya lila tokhoni sanghare. Je sita lagiya more, savangshe ravan, aniya chadila sita kemon karan. Je Jadavgan nija praner saman, shakshate dekhoye tara harai paran. Ataev javat achaye avatar, tavat amar deha tyaga pratikar. Deha edi bar mor, eishe shamoy, prithivite javat achaye mahashoy. Eteke nirbed gupta chinti mane mane, korasana kati ek anilo jatane. One day, the most pure Murari thought about the position of the Lord's incarnations. While the Lord and his associates are still present in this world, I should think of my own welfare. I cannot understand the pastimes of Krishna or how he acts at a particular time. Sometimes he creates and then he annihilates. Although he destroyed Ravan and his dynasty to bring back Sita, why did he then abandon her? Therefore, I should give up my body while he is still present in this world. The proper time to give up my body is while that great personality is still present in this world. After contemplating in this way, Murāri Gupta secretly brought one sharp chopper. Gaudiya Bhashya. One day, while thinking about the Lord's incarnations, Murāri Gupta, this is Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. So Murāri Gupta realized that the incarnations of the Lord manifest their pastimes and then conceal them. And that the Lord destroyed the dynasty of Ravan to deliver Sita and then abandoned her. And that the Lord arranged to destroy his beloved Yadu dynasty. Therefore, with a desire to kill himself during the presence of the Lord, he brought one sharp weapon. Couldn't bear the thought of being separated from the Lord ever. Aniya tuilo kati griher bhitore, nishai edibo deho harisha antare. As he brought that chopper and hid it inside his house, he thought, tonight I will happily give up my body. Sarvabhuta Hriday Thakur Vishwambar Murarir Chittavritti Hoilo Gochar. Lord Vishwambar resides in the heart of all living entities. He therefore understood Murari's resolution. Satvare Aila Prabhu Murari Bhavan Sambhrame Korila Gupta Charana Vandan. The Lord quickly came to Murari's house, and Murari offered his respectful obeisances at the Lord's feet. Asane Boshiya Prabhu Krishna Katha Koi Murari Guptere Hoy Parama Sadoy. Prabhu bole Gupta Bhakya Prabhu bole Gupta Bhakya Rakhiba Amar. Gupta bole Prabhu Mor Sharir Tomar. Prabhu bole Eto Satya. Gupta bole Hoy Kati Khani Deho More Prabhu Kane Koi. Feeling great compassion for Murari, the Lord sat on an asan and began to narrate the topics of Krishna. The Lord then said, "O Murari, what will you do what I say?" Murari replied, "O Lord, this body belongs to you." The Lord asked, "Is that a fact?" Murari replied, "Yes." Then the Lord whispered in his ear, "Then give me that chopper." Gaudiya Bhashya. While discussing topics of Krishna with Murari, Śrī Gaurasundar mercifully said, "Murari, please do what I say." In reply, Murari said, "This body belongs to you." The Lord then whispered in Murari's ear, "If you are telling me the truth, then give me that sharp chopper that you have brought and kept inside your house." Je khati tuila deha chhadi bar tare taha ani deha ache gharer bhitare. You have kept a chopper inside the house with which you plan to kill yourself. Give it to me. Hai hai kore Gupta mahadukha mane mithya katha kohilo tomare kon jane. In great lamentation, Murari exclaimed, "Hi, hi, alas, alas, someone has told you a lie." Prabhu bole Murari, boro to dekhi bholo. Pore kohile she ami jani heno bolo. The Lord said, "Murari, you are certainly naive. Are you saying that I will know something only if someone else tells me? Je gadiya dila kati taha jani ami, taha jani jatha kati tui acho tumi." I know who made that chopper and where you have hidden it. Sarva antaryami Prabhu jane sarva sthan, ghare giya katari anilo vidyaman. The Lord is the omniscient supersoul in the hearts of all, so he knows everything. He went inside the house and brought out that chopper. Prabhu bole Gupta tomar vyavahar, kon doshe ama chhadi chaho jai bar. The Lord said, "O Murari, this is how you behave? For what fault of mine do you want to leave me? Tumi gele kahare loiya mor khela, heno buddhi tumi kar sthane vashi khila." If you leave me, with whom will I enjoy pastimes? Who has given you such ideas? Ekhoni Murari more deho bikha, ar kobo heno buddhi na koriba shikha. O Murari, give me your word that you will never think of such things again. Kole kori Murari re Prabhu Vishwambar, hastatuli dilo nija shirer upar. Lord Vishwambar then embraced Murari and placed his hand on Murari's head. Mor matha khao Gupta, mor matha khao, jadi ar bar deho, chari bare chao. This is a common Bengali expression though. It's translating it literally here. It says, you will eat my head, Gupta, you'll eat my head if you ever desire to give up your body again. But, she mata kache. That's, Rukmini Didi, could you explain like what that means? I hear that all the time here. She mata kache, you know, amar mata kache, like that. What does that expression in Bengali imply? I always understood it as like, he's disturbing me so much. Like he's like yakking off or like.
To have this in Marathi, our native language, they have this word, doka khane, matlab eating one's head.
Okay, yeah. So could you explain it?
It's just meaning irritating someone. Irritating.
Okay. Yes. Okay. That's great. That's how I understood it in Bengali also. Okay. Great. Cool. So interesting how all the languages have the same. Well, like there's similar idioms. Like that. Not idiom. Is that the right word? Anyways, yeah. Okay.
Even sometimes useless endeavors, useless or you can say futile attempts also means matha khache or eating one's head.
Yes. Okay. Great. Ate vyate Murāri porila bhumi tale phakalilo prabhur charana prema jale. Murāri immediately fell to the ground and washed the Lord's lotus feet with his tears of love. Sukriti Murāri kande dhoriya charan, Gupta kole kori kande Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. The pious Murāri cried as he held the lotus feet of the Lord, and Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata cried as he picked Murāri up and embraced him. Jai prasara Murāri Guptere Prabhu kore, taha banche Rama aj ananta shankare. The mercy that the Lord bestowed on Murāri Gupta is desired by Lakshmi, Brahma, Ananta, and Shankar. Esab devata Chaitanyar bhinna nahe, ihara abhinna Krishna vede ekohe. These demigods are not separate from Lord Chaitanya. The Vedas declare that they are non-different from Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sorry, I'm curious if it actually, sorry, my mind's, I can't control my mind. Mata. It's in the dictionary also, that term. Mata kawa, give too much indulgence, mislead one by wrong ideas. Like what you were saying, Shubhananda Prabhu, great. Mata kao jeona. Do not, for the love of me, go away. Huh, interesting. Okay, so sorry. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I just, my mind couldn't, I needed to satisfy. Yeah, so Murāri immediately fell to the ground and washed the Lord's feet with his tears of love. The pious Murāri cried as he held the lotus feet of the Lord, and Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata cried as he picked Murāri up and embraced him. The mercy that the Lord bestowed on Murāri Gupta is desired by Lakshmi, Brahma, Ananta, and Shankar. Esha, okay. Esab devata Chaitanyar bhinna nahe, ihara abhinna Krishna vede e koheke. That's what I just read. These demigods are not separate from Lord Chaitanya. The Vedas declare that they are non-different from Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. The philosophy of Vedanta, which reconciles the various Vedic statements, explains that the demigods are not separate from Lord Chaitanya. The philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bhed is the purport of Vedanta. Since the demigods, who all have one goal, serve Śrī Caitanya-dev, they are not separate from him. The conception that none of the demigods are servants of the Supreme Lord indicates a distinction between the demigods and the Supreme Lord. Since the demigods have no engagement other than the service to Śrī Caitanya, they are all simultaneously one with and different from Śrī Caitanya-dev. Whenever the servants of the demigods think that the demigods are unfavorable to the pastimes of Śrī Caitanya, they are bound to have difficulties in ascertaining the truth and disagreements with the Vedanta concept of non-difference. Shei Gora Chandra Shesh Rupe Mahi Dhore Chaturmukh Rupe Shei Prabhu Srishti Kore. जी बोलबेन that Lord Gaurachandra sustains the universe in his form as Shesh, and the same Lord creates in his form as four-headed Brahma. Sanghare o Gaurachandra Trilochana Rupe Apanare Stuti Kore Apanar Mukhe. In the form of the three-eyed Shiva, Gaurachandra annihilates. He personally offers prayers to himself. Bhinna nahi bhed nahi, e shakal deva chaitanya pada seve. All these demigods are not different or separate from Lord Chaitanya, for they all serve his lotus feet. Pokimatra jodi loy Chaitanyar nam, sheo satya jaibek Chaitanyar dham. If even a bird chants Lord Chaitanya's name, it will certainly attain Lord Chaitanya's abode. So whenever you go to a pet shop and if there's parrots, no, actually it takes a while to teach birds how to chant. No, some parrots actually say things right after you say them, don't they? Yes, okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. If even a bird which has undeveloped consciousness chants the name of Śrī Caitanya, it will achieve great auspiciousness because of its engagement in spiritual activities. The spiritual name is not an object unrelated to the Supreme Lord like ordinary mundane sound vibrations. Therefore, since offenseless vibration of such names falls in the category of namabhas, liberation of even such birds is inevitable. Liberated souls attain the spiritual abode of the Supreme Lord. There is no contamination in the constitutional duties there. Sannyāsī o jadi nahi mane Gaurachandra, jani hoshe dushtagan janma janma andha. Even though one may be a sannyasi, if he does not accept Gaurachandra, then that crooked person remains blind, birth after birth. Gaudiya Bhashya. The sannyas ashram is situated on the highest platform of varnashram dharma. If even sannyasis of such an ashram become envious of Gaur, they are blinded birth after birth and are unable to see the absolute truth. Those sannyasis who are envious of Gaur are certainly sinful. Such duplicitous miscreant thieves in the dress of renunciants blaspheme Śrī Gaurasundar. Therefore, there is no need to respect their saintly dress. Those sannyasis who blaspheme Gaur are more abominable than thieves and plunderers. Jeno tapasvir veshe thake bato vara, e mata nindaka sannyasi durachar. Such a blasphemous miscreant sannyasi is no better than a thief in the dress of a renunciate. Nindaka sannyasi bato vare nahi bhed, duite nindaka boro drohi kohe ved. There is no difference between a blasphemous sannyasi and a thief. Yet of the two, The blasphemer is worse. The blasphemer is worse. Better be a thief than a blasphemous sannyasi. The Vedas refer to the blasphemer as malicious, as a drohi. Let's look up the word drohi. I'm used to hearing it as like Guru Drohi is a hatred, malice. Droha means hatred, malice, malicious, inimical, mischievous, envious, and rebellious. Malicious. Okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Brahmanas are the Brahmanas are qualified for all four ashrams. The Kshatriyas and others are qualified up to Vanaprastha. And there are two kinds of sannyāsīs. A Narottama, or a first-class human being depending completely on the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and the Dhira, are one who is not disturbed by being away from family association. For a further description, see the purports to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 13, verse 27 and verse 28. The sannyas that is accepted according to Vedic regulation is called Tridanda sannyas. The Brahminical regulations prescribed in Ekadanda sannyas are relaxed in the Paramahamsa ashram, which is beyond rules and regulations. There are no Vedic samskars or purificatory rites prescribed for the Shudras. If a Shudra takes the dress of a renunciate and runs about to fulfill his desires, he again becomes a Shudra. Those who use the Tridanda as their means of livelihood have been described in the Shastras as bhandas, or charlatans. Since even after attaining the highest platform, such people cannot understand the actual purport of religious principles, they preach irreligion as religion. Since Mayavadi Ekadandi sannyasis are on the platform of Shudras, they are cheated from Paramahamsa dharma. If such people then run after fulfillment of their material desires like Shudras, they simply become known as pseudo-renunciates. The samskar of Tridandi sannyasis is complete. Subsequently, maintenance of that vow is accepted as exemplary Vedic observance. Engagement in sense gratification like a Shudra, who is devoid of samskars, is nothing but an invitation to irreligiosity. The Tridandi sannyasi servants of Lord Vishnu have no vanity for the austerity, dress, and livelihood that are found among the four varnas, beginning with the Brahmanas, and the four ashrams, beginning with the Brahmacharis. They do not identify themselves as so-called Brahmins, so-called Kshatriyas, so-called Vaishyas, or so-called Shudras. They are transcendental to the four varnas. Since they have engaged all rules and regulations meant to be followed in the four ashrams of Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Bhikshu, and the service of the Supreme Lord, they are not at all entangled in activities like austerity, dressing, and earning livelihood in this world of enjoyment. They have studied the Narad Pancharatra verse beginning Aradito Yadi Hari, and it gives, I'm just going to read the translation because it wasn't actually quoted by Srila Saraswati Thakur, the full verse, but it means they understand they've studied the verse that means if one is worshiping Lord Hari, what is the use of service penance, of severe penances? And if one is not worshiping Lord Hari, what is the use of severe penances? And if one can understand that Lord Hari is all-pervading, what is the use of severe penances? And if one cannot understand that Lord Hari is all-pervading, what is the use of severe penances? Keeps on saying this, tapasya tata kim. Jadi haris tapasya tata kim. Jadi haris tata tapasya. Okay. So they understand that verse. So they do not exhibit aversion to the worship of Hari by displaying niyamagraha. That means blindly following rules and regulations. Or niyama agraha. So there's niyamagraha and niyama agraha. That means, so one is following the rules and regulations just blindly without actually knowing why you're following them, just kind of like having too much enthusiasm for following rules without knowing its purpose, and that's not for your, like, that's not meant for you. And then niyama agraha, that means neglecting to follow the rules and regulations for austerities. In regards to austerities, they don't do niyamagraha or niyama agraha. They place no importance in external dress. Dressing as householders does not diminish their respectability. We hear the story of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj dressing as a householder so that he wouldn't be lumped into the category of all those bogus Babajis. When they accept the dress of sannyāsīs, they do not proudly consider themselves advanced. I am a sannyasi. Look, they do not endeavor in the least for their own livelihood, as do those of the four varnas headed by the brahmanas. Whatever they accumulate is meant for the service of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas. But they do not take professions like Brahmins and others. They do not take professions like Brahmins and others do simply for the sake of their own livelihood. No servant of Vishnu will accept any ingredient in charity from others for the satisfaction of his own belly or enjoyment. For they know that acceptance of charity from others without being situated in Brahminical behavior is the cause of fall down. Yikes. Man, I should highlight that one for myself. Okay. But professionals take shelter of the Tridanda, and like Ravan, artificially accept the dress of renunciants while engaging in all kinds of material enjoyment. The superiority of aesthetics over non-aesthetics is vividly described in Vedic literatures and in worldly tradition. But engagement in sense gratification after accepting the dress of an aesthetic on the pretext of austerity makes a living entity averse to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, in the course of propagating the philosophy of Mayavad, the preaching of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation by those who are ignorant of religious principles and who proudly consider themselves highly advanced is simply the thirst for accepting charity, like Shudras, and cheating those who make their living by dressing as ascetics. This is the behavior of Shudras, and such behavior is characteristic of people in Kali Yuga. After abandoning subordination to Gaura Sundar and acting like thieves, such people attack the pure devotees of Gaur and go to hell. Thieves are actually superior to such Mayavadi sannyāsīs. Thieves are actually superior to such Mayavadi sannyasi Shudras, whose duplicitous claim to be religious preachers while earning their livelihood dressed as ascetics, while taking shelter of the principle of quarrel in the age of Kali, and while considering themselves superior to Shudras, is simply the wild dancing of Kali. That is why in the final canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, such abominable behavior has been described. This verse has appeared for the sake of those proud so-called followers of Varna Dharma, who become misguided by violating the principle mentioned in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 13, verse 32. And then in square brackets, it says, we consider that this is probably a printing mistake, as the verse does not appear to fit the context. In our opinion, the verse being referred to is Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 11, verse 32. Okay. Oops, that was a mistake. Oh, yeah. Rup Manjari is making the point. The first should have been written niyama agraha, just so that so that people can understand that the sandhi. So, they both come out to be the same thing, like we hear in the Upadeshamrita. Niyamagraha can either be broken down niyama agraha or niyama agraha, and one is agraha and agraha. One is agraha, like not following the niyama, and one is agraha, that means overzealousness to follow rules and regulations. Agraha and agraha. Okay. In the Naradiya Puran, it is stated, Prakatam pratita shreyam ya eko yatada swayam Bhakka vritti swayam papa patayatya paran api. A fallen person is superior to a sinful hypocrite because he goes to hell alone, whereas the hypocrite takes others to hell with him. Yeah, it's better to just harm yourself rather than harm yourself and everybody around you. Haranti dase, where is that? That's from the Naradiya Purana, verse 141. Haranti dasevo kutyam vimohyastrar nrinam dhanam charitrar atitikšnagrar vadar evam bhakavrata. Plunderers steal people's wealth in solitary places by threatening them with weapons, whereas hypocrites steal people's wealth by bewildering them with heart-piercing words. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 12.3.38, it is stated, and this isn't the purport anymore. This is Caitanya-bhāgavata's quoting it. Vrindavan Das Thakur is quoting this. Shudra pratigrahishyanti tapo vesho pajivina dharmam vakshyanti dharma gya adhiruhyottamasanam. Shudras will dress as ascetics and accept charity for their livelihood. Those who are ignorant of religious principles will occupy the seat of the acharya and teach religious principles. Bhalore aishe loka tapasvi dekhite sadhu ninda shuni mori jai bhalo mate. People go to see ascetics in good faith, but when they hear them blaspheme saintly persons, they are ruined. Sadhu ninda shunile sukriti hoy koi janma janma adapat vede ei koi. By hearing blasphemy of saintly persons, one's piety is exhausted. The Vedas declare that such people live in hellish conditions birth after birth. How many times has it been now that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has brought up this topic of criticizing Vaishnavas, of blaspheming Vaishnavas? It's like again and again and again. So many chapters he's been really emphasizing this point. Gaudiya Bhashya. On the pretext of compromise, many people remain silent even after hearing blasphemy of Sadhu, Guru, and Vaishnav. Such people fall into hellish conditions for many lifetimes. All their good fortune becomes exhausted. It is stated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.79.40. Nindam Bhagavata Shringvangsh Tat Parasya Janasya Va Tato Napaiti Ya Sopi Yatyada Sukritach Chuta. This is a famous verse. Anyone who fails to immediately leave the place where he hears criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down, bereft of his pious credit. And it says one should see Bhakti Sandarbha 265. Batovare shabe matra eka janme mare janme janme khone khone nindake sanghare. Thieves suffer for only one lifetime, but blasphemers suffer continuously, life after life. Gaudiya Bhashya. As a result of their deeds, ordinary thieves suffer miseries until their sinful reactions are exhausted. But those who are naturally sinful are eligible to suffer miseries forever because of their tendency to blaspheme Vishnu and the Vaishnavas. Their sinful propensity to constantly blaspheme the Supreme Lord and his devotees causes them to suffer unlimited pains. Ataeva nindaka sannyāsī batovara batovar hoite o ananta durachar. Therefore, of the two, the blasphemous sannyasi is unlimitedly more sinful than the thief. He's not just more sinful, he's unlimitedly more sinful. More of a durachar. Abhramastambadi shab Krishner vaibhav ninda matra Krishna rushta kohe shastra sab. From Brahma down to the lowest living entity, All are manifestations of Krishna's energies. Therefore, the scriptures declare that blasphemy makes Krishna angry. Anandaka hoye je sakrit Krishna bole, satya satya Krishna tare udhari bohele. This is a famous verse. This is quoted very often. Krishna will certainly deliver anyone who chants his names without offenses or blasphemy. Gaudiya Bhashya. One who renounces the blasphemy of saintly persons and then chants the name of Krishna even once can easily attain the mercy of the Lord. But offenders at the feet of the holy names commit offenses at the lotus feet of the spiritual master by blaspheming the saintly persons, and thus become offenders at the feet of the Supreme Lord by blaspheming the spiritual master. What to speak of achieving love of God, which is the fruit of chanting the holy names? By blaspheming the Supreme Lord, they gradually become bound by 8 ropes, and as a result of committing offenses to the holy names, they are not even able to achieve religiosity, economic development, or sense gratification. Chari ved poriyao o jadi ninda kore, janma janma kumbi pake dubi ashe more. If even after studying the 4 Vedas, one indulges in blasphemy, he suffers birth after birth in the hell known as Kumbhipaka. Gaudiya Bhashya. Even if because of their offenses, sinful people identify themselves as Chaturvedis and Agnihotris, as a result of blaspheming Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, they fall after every lifetime into Kumbhipaka, where they suffer severe miseries. Their study of the 4 Vedas then becomes the cause of hellish pain, and envy of the Vaishnavas becomes their principal recitation of the Sama Veda. Wow. Bhagavat Puriya o karo buddhi nash, Nityananda ninda kore hoibe sarvanash. Even after studying Srimad Bhagavatam, one's intelligence may be ruined. For anyone who blasphemes Nityananda is certainly vanquished. Gaudiya Bhashya. I know, I'm wondering what the 8 ropes are as well, Rukmini Didi. I have no idea. Huh. Yeah, I'm actually really curious. Gaudiya Bhashya. I wonder if on Wisdom Lib, that might have something about 8 ropes. Wisdomlib.org. Let's type in 8 ropes. Let's see what comes up. 8 ropes. Nope, nothing came up. 8 ropes. Nope. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. Many professional Bhagavat reciters engaged in blasphemy of the Supreme Lord and his devotees create havoc in this world by distorting the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to earn their livelihood and to freely engage in sense gratification and thus destroy themselves. They give up the lotus feet of the Vaishnava spiritual master and accept Mayavadis, Gyanis, Karmis, and gross materialists who are all offenders at the feet of Sri Nityananda. They accept them as their spiritual master. And thus they become eternally cheated from receiving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And by obstructing many people's execution of eternal religious principles, they cause them to suffer the miseries of material existence. E navadipe gora chandrer prakash, namane nindaka shab se satya bilas. Gaurachandra manifested his pastimes in this abode of Navadvip. Yet blasphemers do not accept such eternal pastimes. Chaitanya charane jar, ache mati gati, janma janma hoy jeno tahar sanghati. May I achieve the association of those whose desires and activities are dedicated to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Gaudiya Bhashya. All human beings should give up the association of cheating professional Bhagavat reciters and desire the association of non-duplicitous servants of Śrī Caitanya birth after birth. Association with Mayavadis averse to Lord Chaitanya is not at all desirable. Ashta siddhi jukta chaitanyate bhakti shunya kabhu jeno na dekho she papi hina punya. May I never see the face of a sinner who is devoid of piety and devotion to Lord Chaitanya, even if he is endowed with the 8 mystic perfections. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sinners who are devoid of piety are averse to the service of Lord Chaitanya. Even if by ordinary consideration, such people are known to have achieved perfection in the 8-fold yoga process, one should not see the face of such sinners. The spiritual masters are certainly the most beloved servants of Śrī Caitanya. The Vaishnava devotees, who are non-different from the heart of the spiritual master, condemn the 8 mystic perfections. They are spiritual masters of the pure Vaishnavas. It is most desirable to remain apart from unauthorized non-Vaishnava sampradayas while externally offering them respect. This is a book by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada called Sankhya-vani, and it goes through all the different numbers of like one initiating spiritual master, 1 personification. So I'm just curious what it says for 8. Maybe we'll find the 8 ropes there. Gurvashtak, Shikshashtak, Namashtak, Chaitanyashtak. Krishna's 8 lotus-like features. It first gives the positive ones and then it gives the negative ones. Let's see. To be rejected. So there's Ashtanga Maituna, our 8 stages of sexual congress. The 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. The 8 tethers of illusion. I found it. Yay! Okay, here it is. I'm just trying to answer Rukmini's question. So the 8 tethers of illusion are 1, grina, hate. 2, laja, shame. 3, bhai, fear and doubt. 4, nidra, sleep. 5, jugupsa, criticism. 6, jati, greed. 7, kula, caste. And 8, shila, modesty? Huh? I don't understand that last one. But anyways, I'm sharing it in the chat with you. I mean, in there. Okay. Murāri Gupta Prabhu Santvana Koriya Cholila Apana Ghare Harashita Hoya. After solacing Murāri Gupta, the Lord happily returned to his house. Henomate Murāri Gupter Anubhav Ami ki bolibo vyakta tahar prabhav. Such are the glories of Murāri Gupta. What more can I say? His glories are already known. Nityananda Prabhu Mukhe Vaishnaver Tatya Kichu Kichu Shunilam Sabar Mahatma. I have heard something of the Vaishnav's glories and characteristics from the mouth of Nityananda Prabhu. Janma Janma Nityananda ho mor pati Jahar prasade hoilo Chaitanya te rati. May Lord Nityananda be my master, birth after birth. By his mercy, I have become attracted to Lord Chaitanya. Jai Jai Jagannath Mishrer Nandan Tor Nityananda ho mor pranadhan. All glories to the son of Jagannath Mishra. May your Nityananda be my life and wealth. This is how we pray to Mahaprabhu. Oh Mahaprabhu, may your Nityananda be my life and wealth. Pranadhan, or my life's wealth. Mor prananater jivan vishwambar e boro bharasha chitte dhori nirantar. Vishwambar is the life and soul of my beloved Lord. I firmly maintain this conviction within my heart. Gaudiya Bhashya. With firm conviction, the author resolutely holds the lotus feet of Śrī Guru Nityananda within his heart. His eternal object of worship is Śrī Gaurasundar. Śrī Krishna Caitanya Nityananda Chanda Jan Vrindavana Dasa Tachu Pada Juge Gan. Accepting Śrī Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends the English translation of the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, Madhya-khaṇḍa, chapter 20, entitled The Glories of Murāri Gupta. Jai Shri Murāri Gupta ki Jai, Jai Shriman Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Jai Shri Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai, Shri Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, the Gaudiya Bhashya of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so tomorrow we will start reading this chapter 21, the Lord's chastisement of Devananda. Oh, wow. And tomorrow's reading is 7,210, just a little bit too much to finish in one day. So maybe we should divide this into two and we could read. There's so much about Murāri Gupta in Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. Maybe we could read about Murāri Gupta, like from Srila Bhakti-Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj's book, Śrī Caitanya and His Associates. And then we could read from this. Just otherwise, it's, yeah, we need to divide this into 2 days somehow because we can't finish it in one day. And yeah, so I think we can do that. And also tomorrow is Akadashi. What is it? Shatpila Akadashi. Oh, and in 2 days from now, the day after tomorrow, is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj. Oh, never. Okay. Anyways, we'll figure that out. What we do. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Guru Deva ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatara Shatashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, Nityal Pravishta Maha-bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Nityal Pravishta Shrila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai, Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Dait Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Swaparshad Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan, Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Paradasa Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaur Mandal Braja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Śrī Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai, Śrī Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai, Śrī Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Śrī Bhakti Devi ki jai, Śrī Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai, Śrī Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Śrī Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat pranams everybody. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Oh, oops, I forgot. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Virai Keshavashta Krishna Bhakti Vrada Devi Satyavatai namo namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Dandavat pranams. Haribol Nri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarani Mataji. Dandavat pranams. And Shubhananda Prabhu just left. Then Ganga Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Hari Priya Didi, Rukmini Didi, and Kishore Prabhu. Oh, I missed you. All right, no problem. And who else? There's a bunch of other devotees, but not that many people wrote comments, so I don't know all who's there. But Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this reading. And yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to read, because there's so much about Murāri Gupta and Caitanya-bhāgavata, so it'd be nice to see all the pastimes in one go. So maybe we can read this book, Śrī Caitanya and his associates. Nri Hari Prabhu or Bhavatarani Mataji, is there anything you'd like to mention before we end today's stream? All right, so I'll see you all tomorrow to read about, what are we reading about again? I have such a bad memory. We're reading about the Lord's chastisement of Devananda Pandit. Yes. Was that?
No, just all glories to assembled devotees.
All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Murāri Gupta ki jai, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu ki jai,
Jai.
Prabhu ki jai,
Jai.
Glorious Guru Varga ki jai.
Jai. Haribo, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, see you all tomorrow. Hari